Welcome, everybody, to the inaugural 4th and 62. For those of you who don't know, 4th relates to 4th down, and 62 is just a very short way to go for the first down. I'm your host, John Freedman, and what this is an irreverent look at our sports world. You know, sports radio, I'm not going to mention any stations, I'm not going to mention any names, because as I said earlier, I don't want my house to be blown up. But, you know, all those guys do is seem to scream and yell at each other. The Celtics won an NBA championship, and the next day was negative. How could it be negative? The Celtics just won their 18th banner. So, in my line about those guys is, if you handed them $1 million, they'd complain the bills were wrinkled. So, this is going to be a fun, we hope you smile and laugh, familiar. If what you see is familiar, tough, so what? And most importantly, it makes you smile. It's about sports. It's not about who's running for president. It's not about abortion. It's not about the Supreme Court. It's about sports. So again, I'm your host, John Freedman. I'm a North Chelmsford resident. I have two co-hosts with me today. One is right across the table from me. He's the coach, Bob Pariseau. Hi, Bob.
Hi, John. Thanks for having me.
Oh,
I think we're going to pull off something
Well,
good.
I hope
get my
so.
language, my English going.
Your English is good. You were a teacher for how long?
39 years.
Well, that's why your English isn't right. And coming to us live from the Isle of Malta, he will be known from here to and into eternity as Cousin Stephen. Cousin Stephen, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here. When I asked Stephen about doing the show, he said he's better with the written word than the spoken word. And I said to him, in my typical wise guy fashion, well, just say what you were going to write and it'll all be fine. So here we go. We might as well, since Bob has his Red Sox shirt on, I have my Red Sox shirt on, Stephen is wearing no Red Sox shirt. No. We thought we'd start talking about the Red Sox. And, you know, one of the first things here is the trade deadline. Everyone's talking about the trade deadline. Do they buy? Do they sell? Do they move Kenley Jansen? And what you hear from the Red Sox is, well, we don't think we need to do anything because Tristan Cassis is coming back, and there's the power we need. And Liam Hendricks, who had his arm restitched, is coming back. You know, Liam Hendricks is 35 years old, but, you know, so be it. So, gentlemen, any thoughts on the trade deadline?
Well, I think, along with, you know, some of the prevailing thought about us old-timers that remember way back when, that the Red Sox aren't going to do anything because they're still selling tickets, they're still selling beer, and everybody's happy. Well, not everybody, but John Henry and his sports conglomerate is making money, $1 billion to the PGA. So why do I need to change anything?
Right.
I mean, they've got people like Liam Hendricks, 35 years old, great guy, but he's coming off of Tommy John.
And he beat cancer.
You know, God bless him.
Sounds like
right. He could be
my closer.
But are you going to get rid of Jensen?
Well,
for this kid? I mean, no, he's not. He's a kid for me.
Yeah, well, it's all right. Yeah. Kid for me too.
Right.
Stephen, you gotta like look down the line here. So are the Red Sox going to actually win anything this year? Are you happy if they come in third or fourth? I mean, what's the goal here? Isn't the goal to get to a duck boat parade? So I don't think you're going to get there with the current players. I think you've got to make some trades and say, okay, we have a great team. We've got a good-looking future here, some exciting players, and a certainly exciting style of play. So my opinion is you got to make some trades for the future.
Okay. Well, and I'm with you, Stephen. And here's my thing, Bob, and to anyone else, the 6 people that are watching us out there.
Hi, Mom.
If your mother can get this, that'd be pretty cool. So
It's good. She's pretty savvy. She could probably do it.
she could probably find it. You know, unfortunately, and you know, Bob talked about John Henry selling tickets and all that. I'm going tomorrow night. I spent $150 for 2 tickets, and I meet my stepson at the game. I haven't been to a game in 3 years. There's reasons for that, which we don't need to go into here, but it's exciting, it's fun, and you know, regardless as to what happens, can I make a request of you 2 gentlemen? Can we please give David Hamilton a number other than that of an offensive lineman? Can we give him a number other than 70? Is that too much to ask?
It might have some significance to him. You know, a lot of players
Too bad.
A lot of those players use high numbers because of the year they were born or something significant that means something to him.
Well, this shows how old we all are. If a guy was born in 1970, he's too old already.
True. Right? It may mean something else. I just
No, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, I agree with Bob there. I think, you know, we're the old guys, so we're the traditionalists, but I think the numbers don't mean as much to the younger fans as they do to us. Yeah, I think he probably could get another number, but, you know, like Bob says, maybe he's happy with it. I don't know.
Yeah, well, he probably is. I think in David Hamilton's case, I think he's just happy to be on the team. I think he's happy to be playing. You know, he's
Let's face it, if you're John Henry, all you really care about is selling shirts.
Right, exactly.
Right?
Yeah, he doesn't care what number's on the back. He just cares about what number's on the price tag.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
right? So, you know, and it's, I don't know. The other things I had written down here about the Red Sox was I had Jaron Duran, who he won't, but he should win comeback player of the year. But he won't because, I mean, this guy was left for dead 2 years ago. And all of a sudden, I mean, he hits a base hit to right field and it's a double. It's automatically double because he's so fast.
He can run.
2 years ago, he couldn't catch a fly ball.
Oh, I know.
Oh yeah, every fly ball was an adventure.
And that was bad. That was really bad. And
now all of a sudden we're seeing how good they knew he was going to be.
right.
But if you put him in left field, that's a tough place to play in Fenway. And you got to really know that wall and gauge how is the ball going to be catchable,
Right.
or is it going to come off the wall?
When to try to catch it, when to
Right,
back up
right.
and get it on the bounce.
Yep.
I totally agree with that. You know, I mean, he's been exciting. I have the pitching rotation. We're very lucky. We're going to see Tanner Houck tomorrow night. Every night they go out there. I mean, Bale last night for 5 innings, except for the first inning, he was lights out.
Yep.
And then he was terrible. He was terrible.
I don't know what happens to that kid. He's got a little bit of a history doing that now.
Yeah.
Which is kind of the opposite of what Pavetta, at least in my mind, is noted for.
Right.
He's known for starting off slow, and then if he can get by the first inning and 2/3, he settles down and he lights out.
Right.
And then he took six and 2/3 no hit the other night.
And the thing with Bayo too, and Kevin Youkilis said this on the broadcast last night. People have to stop saying he's Pedro Martinez Jr.
Oh yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Pedro Martinez is a Hall of Famer.
Right.
Stop comparing this kid to him. He's not Pedro Martinez. There will never be what we saw Pedro going back to the '99 All-Star game when he struck out all those guys, and he was electric. This kid is not. He's not Pedro Martinez.
No.
Stephen?
No, there's never going to be another Pedro Martinez. I mean, let's face it. So he's he just needs to be really good. I mean, and
Right.
he could be really good.
And he needs to be Brian Bale. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. So the last thing I had
don't
on here about the Red Sox,
he needs
because we need to
Pedro.
move along, was Liam Hendricks. But to me, Liam Hendricks gives the ownership a built-in excuse. If he's ready to pitch, they can trade Kenley Jansen, get a couple of young guys or whatever they're going to get for him, and then Tristan Casas comes back, and there's their moves.
Yep.
That's it. I don't agree with that. I agree with Bob and Steven here that they have to do something. They have to do something to show Alex Cora. They have to do something to show the team that they're invested. None of this full throttle crap.
Well, they were invested when they brought in the kid from last night, Whittinger. Right? He's huge. He's the same size as a hockey player or a tight end.
Yeah.
And he throws the ball through the wall. Unfortunately, he doesn't know where the wall is.
He doesn't know where the walls. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. He
But-
was terrible.
And
Yes.
just one more quick point about
Go ahead.
Cassis. How many people do you know that come off an injury? Sounds like it was pretty severe,
Yeah.
and instantly go back to where they left off.
Well, I'm going to one up you on that. Where did he leave off? It wasn't like he was hitting 330 with 25 home runs. You know, I mean, he was hitting 240
Right.
with 12 home runs or something like that.
He's living off of the second half of last year.
Right.
He was
Right.
good. He was lights out.
Yep.
Before that, he was Bobby Dahlback reincarnated. You know, he couldn't hit the ball.
That's an insult to Bobby Dahlbeck. So, okay.
And the same with Hendricks. He's coming back from Tommy John.
And who knows, every pitch that guy throws could be the last pitch he'll ever throw.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Steven, any thoughts on those guys?
Well, Cassis, I would definitely give him as much playing time as possible. I mean, he was really great second half of last year. It takes a while, so yes, it's going to take him a while to get back. Hopefully, he will.
Yeah.
You know, we'll see. But hits the ball a long way,
He does.
so we're good.
He's got good power.
Okay. All right, so let's move on, if we can. Let's move on to talk a little hockey. So, Bob, you and I will change our shirts to Bruins. Steven's wearing black,
I
so
don't have
he's
to do
halfway
anything.
there.
I don't think we can literally do that. We'd
No.
be off the air.
Yes, the rating of the show will definitely change.
That's right. That's right.
You know?
John, we have no rating.
Oh, that's right. Oh, I forgot. Sorry. It lost my head. So, you know, one of the first things I have here, you know, and it's not part of the bullet points, but you guys will both relate to what I'm going to say. Watching the NHL playoffs is the best sports, and Stephen, you and I talked about this the other day. It's the best sports that you can see, that you can watch. I mean, my wife was watching the NHL playoffs, and this was after the Bruins were knocked out. What was that?
No.
Did you say something?
No.
No,
Okay. Sorry.
you're hearing things.
I'm hearing the
Yeah.
voice of God. You know, it was so exciting, and it was so, it was riveting. You couldn't take your eyes off the TV. And, you know, I put down the kid they drafted, Drew Letourneau, who's 6'7", who's going to BC this year. Okay, that's a step in the right direction. But that's for 2028. That's not for next year.
Yeah, I don't
What
think
are they
they're
going to
gonna-
do for next year?
They won't rush him up.
You know, if you watch those games, do you think the Bruins could have played with Florida or Carolina or the Rangers? No, they can't play with them.
I'll tell you that Florida team, they smother you.
Yeah,
They're all over. They're all over you.
Yep.
I mean, I could have sworn, you know, everybody has 6 players on the ice,
goalie at 5. Right.
except for the Panthers. They had 12. It was unbelievable.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. One of the bullets I had here was team speed. you know, the guys they got rid of, you know, I wasn't a Jake DeBrus fan, but he was the fastest skater they had.
So what's wrong with Jake DeBrusk? I mean, how come he's fast, he scores goals, but there's something wrong? So what is it? Why wouldn't they sign him? They
Well,
want teams.
my
We don't
opinion,
know.
my opinion is there's something wrong with his head,
Yeah.
or his heart. There was something intangibly missing with that kid. But I agree, he was by far their fastest skater. Even the
Yeah.
kid they traded to Minnesota, Loco, he was fast. But
Right.
Are we still going with the Terry O'Reilly and all those guys? Not the Bruin way.
the lunch pail,
Yeah, he was.
lunch pail game.
He wasn't a hard nose.
Well, you know, it's funny. The one guy of all the people we missed who left, I thought Pat Maroon, who can't skate, he's slow as molasses.
Steve, he's really building this kid up.
Yeah.
But you know what? He's tough as nails. He is so tough, and he's been on 3 Stanley Cup winners. That's not an accident. He's the one guy I thought they were going to miss. Just to put him out there, just to get the other team to, okay, maybe we won't run at this guy. You know,
But, you know, yes, I understand that you need somebody that's going to take on your Gretzky or your whoever,
David.
McDavid.
Right.
You know, but I think goon hockey is long gone.
Oh, it's definitely gone. It's definitely gone. But I think this kid, to me, he's a kid. He's not a kid in NHL lifetime.
Yeah.
Pat Maroon, he's a tough SOB. And that's what the Bruins lacked.
Well, didn't they trade for a defenseman who's he leads the league in penalty minutes? I mean, he's a tough guy, so maybe he's the one who's going to step up and throw his fist when it's necessary.
That was a free agent signing. I think you were out of the
Yeah.
country then. Yeah, he's 6'6". He's the biggest defenseman they've had since Chara. And
I was actually scouting in Chechnya, by the way. I was not just out of the country. I met a guy who said he knows David Krejci, so that's what I was doing.
okay.
Oh boy.
I didn't know that. You name dropper, you.
6 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
Right.
6 degrees of David Krejci.
Hey.
Well, I had written down here Elias Lindholm and Nikita Zadorov. I think we've talked about Zadorov. Bob has his picture right there. You know, there you go. And Elias.
Is that Rock Hudson?
What was that?
Is that Rock Hudson? Is that a picture
Yes,
of
that's Rock
Hudson?
Hudson. Yes.
Yeah, he is a fine looking
He
young
looks.
man.
Yes.
All right.
But supposedly he's a tough SOB too. So maybe to your point, Stephen, maybe he'll take the place of a Pat Maroon. Maybe that's what they were thinking. So I just
I mean,
want
there's
to
also
move.
a reason why, John, there's also a reason why Pat Maroon's been on a number of teams. So he must be, he's good on one hand and he lacks certain skills on the other.
Well, yeah, and I think too he was good in the locker room. You know, he was a good presence for them to have. He took the younger guys under his wing, but let's face it, he's not going to show up on the score sheet unless it's the PIM's column.
Right.
But he's not going to score goals. He's not going to get assists. I just, that was my one throwaway here. All right, we have about 9 minutes left, so I want to move on to one of your favorites. I know, Bob, it's your favorite because Bob is known as the coach because he coached the offensive line here in Chelmsford for how many years?
Well, I was a coach for 20 years.
20 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not all on the line, but that's a story for a different time.
That's fine. So he was talking earlier about Dante Scarnecchia. I went, oh wow, that's a great name. So under the Patriots, I put coaching, which obviously is one of the number one things we're going to talk about. With Gerard Mayo, But as Bob mentioned, who's going to coach the offensive line now? Because it's obvious that they got rid of some players, they drafted some players, they drafted this kid Caden Wallace, who's going to play out of position. He's going to play tackle, but I guess he hasn't played tackle since third grade or something.
Yeah. And he's a little undersized
Yeah,
for
he's
today's
small.
game.
He's small.
But
Yep.
if he can move, that would be good. He's like Matt Light.
Yep.
We were talking
We're
about that
talking
before.
about that. Yep. Absolutely. Go ahead.
So, I wanted to talk about Gerard Mayo for a second here,
Go ahead.
because my feeling is that Patriot fans are going to miss Belichick more than we know right now, because we took for granted all of the things that Belichick did and taught the rest of the league how to do well. Simple things like clock management, or even stepping out of bounds at the end of game to stop the clock, when to call timeouts. And we haven't seen what Mayo can do, but we've seen lots of other coaches in the NFL who really are bad at this. So I think the jury is really out on Mayo. I trust Bob Kraft as a good judge of character, and he'll hire the right guy, and hopefully it'll be Mayo. But we don't know what he's going to do. We don't know, because that's huge in football. The coach in an NFL is the most important thing. Certainly, the most important coach of any sport is the coach of an NFL team. So let's see what Mayo can do. But I think we're going to miss Belichick.
Well, I think we're certainly going to miss, who we remember as Belichick back in the Brady era. He had a player who could put his vision into play. He was like Belichick on the field, no question.
Right.
Okay.
No question.
But now Mayo doesn't have any of that. We don't know what he's got. And too bad that Belichick left under horribly. He could, if he had the will and left better, maybe he could be a consultant. He could be like Ernie
Adams.
Ernie Adams.
Right. And Belichick had Ernie Adams.
One thing we won't miss is Belichick's press conferences. Those were frightening.
True.
Well,
Those were an
like,
education on how to be impolite, frankly.
Yeah.
well,
yeah.
and he wrote the book on that. And personally, I liked his grunts. I thought his grunts were pretty good. Matter of fact, I learned how to speak grunt from watching his press conferences. But I agree with you. All I'll say about Gerard Mayo with regards to clock management is I hope he was paying attention, because there was nobody better than Bill Belichick when it came to that. And it wasn't Tom Brady. It was Belichick.
You'll see. You'll see if how good Mayo is, let's say, with the new kickoff rule, because there's a lot to think about. There's a lot of strategy. Nobody really knows what it's going to be like, but some people will have really thought it through. Will have creative ideas. Let's see what Mayo comes up with.
Okay, good. Well, it'll be interesting to see that. It'll be interesting to see who his, when the dust settles and it's game one, who his coaches are and how much he's willing to relinquish to those coaches.
Right. A lot of first time guys.
Right.
That's the downfall. They think they've got to do everything all the time.
Yep.
Belichick coaches the coaches, puts the game plan together, talks to them off the field. Then, most of the time, he's talking into his headset and he's looking at players, what's going on, and he'll jump in when he feels necessary. But he wants his coaches that have the relationship with the players to send his message through them to the players. Mayo,
Even Belichick had problems with his coaches sometimes. I mean, look at the special teams play the past couple of years. There were some awful moments there.
right.
And like, what did Belichick just forget everything? What happened? What was going on? So sometimes, you do trust the coach and it doesn't work out.
Right.
Face it.
Well, I think in Belichick's case, personally, I just think Brady left And I think it was time for a change. Regardless as anything else, I think it was time for a change. I agree with you with what you say about the ownership. I think the ownership, regardless as to the crap you read in the paper or the crap you hear on sports radio, which I don't listen to anymore, by the way. I have to make sure I say that every time.
We're going to take over that market.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. If Pete lets us.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's going to be a fun year. How many games you see him winning, Stephen?
Well, I'm an optimist, so I'm always hoping for more. But if they win 5 or 6, I think that's a good year for them
Yep.
right now.
I think so too. My number was 6. Bob?
Yeah, that sounds reasonable.
Yeah.
Take a close look at the schedule and how bad are the Jets going to be, and and that kind of stuff. Buffalo seems to take the collar
Yep.
more often. They're kind of like the football version of the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays are always, they're going to be it, and boom, they're in the cellar.
Right.
But, yeah, I think so.
The rest of the NFL thinks the Patriots aren't going to win 3 games, so who knows?
Right.
Well, I think it's going to be a fun year. And as I've said before, not on this show, we've been spoiled since the Patriots' first Super Bowl against the Rams. We've been spoiled. We were spoiled from 2000 to I guess a week ago Friday.
Yeah.
With how many parades we have? 16 parades or something ridiculous.
Right.
And Title Town and all that crap. So which leads me to kind of our final topic as the clock is winding down here. And I think because we're talking titles, we got to mention the Celtics. We have to mention the Celtics, got their 18th title. I wrote a bunch of stuff here. I wrote the J team. The coolest thing for me to watch was Jaylen Brown step up. Jason Tatum is not going to be what people want him to be. Maybe Jaylen Brown is. And then the other thing that I wrote down here was the Celtics' first draft pick, which was the 30th pick in the draft, which was Baylor Shireman. Shireman. I spelled it wrong on my
Yeah, you're not
notes.
supposed to say Chinaman anymore.
Sorry. That's right. Baylor from what school did he go to? Creighton University. 6'7", can shoot the 3, et cetera, et cetera. So on their 18th championship, the other thing I put down with 20 seconds to go is the MVP of this team should be Brad Stevens for those trades he made. So that's going to wrap us up here for the inaugural show of 4th and 62. Why is that the name of the show? Why not? Thank you very much. We'll see you next time.